Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Defence, Senator Wong. 30,000, Minister. That's the number of Ukrainians who are killed or wounded every month in the counter-offensive against the Russian invasion. The wounded are generally driven to the hospital, often in the back of an ordinary car or truck. A delay of hours, which medical experts say significantly increases the chances of death or permanent disability. That's why the Ukrainian government needs helicopters for aeromedical evacuation and has asked Australia to donate the Taipans, which we've retired. The narrative of the Albanese government that the Taipan fleet is beyond repair was demonstrated to be inaccurate by photos published last week, which show the majority of the fleet hanging in Townsville, largely intact, and subsequently confirmed as being airworthy. Minister, why is the government so intent on digging a hole and burying these airworthy helicopters rather than helping save Ukrainian lives?
Thank you, Senator Fawcett. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President, and I think I respect Senator Fawcett's involvement and engagement, obviously, in his time in which he served the nation, and also on the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee. And I know how much he means that question with great sincerity. And he would know that we have had bipartisan support for Ukraine since Russia's illegal and immoral invasion. And you would know that in opposition, the Labor Party supported the then government's position on Ukraine, and in government we have continued to provide support to Ukraine, including the training of personnel. And I think I've said in this chamber, possibly one of the most moving visits I have made has been to the location in the United Kingdom where Ukrainian troops are being trained by Australians, by British and other defence forces, and you meet people who are postal workers and farmers and clerks who are prepared to die for their country. So we share his concern about this. I'm advised in relation to the Taipans that it has obviously, the Taipan has been managed as a project of concern by the Department of Defence since 2011. The Senator would know of the tragic crash which saw the loss of Australian lives in July, and the fact that the government announced in September of 2023 that the MRH-90 would not return to flying operations. I'm advised that Defence received a request from the Ambassador of Ukraine and that by this date the helicopters had already been subject to extensive disassembly. This decision has been communicated to the Ambassador.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Fawcett, first supplementary.
Minister, I and the Ukrainian government appreciate the support of both sides of this chamber, but the reality is Ukraine first expressed an interest in using the Taipans for casualty evacuation during a meeting that I held with them at the NATO conference in October last year. And I made sure that your government was advised of that interest before I even left Copenhagen to return to Australia. Minister, why didn't the Albanese government even bother to pick up the phone to consult the Ukrainians before deciding on a plan to just dig a hole and bury the helicopters?
The time for asking has expired. Minister Wong.
Thank you. As I understand it, on all occasions, or in relation to these matters, that the government has acted on the basis of advice from Defence. The advice I have is that the advice from Defence was clear that this was not the right platform for Ukraine, and the government and Defence made decisions, and the government on that basis.
Senator Fawcett, second supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. I think the Ukrainians are well placed to decide what platform will keep their soldiers alive. And Minister, now that the government has a formal request from Ukraine and it has been established that a number of the helicopters remain airworthy in Townsville, will the Albanese government reverse its decision and donate the aircraft, even in their current state, to allow Ukraine to work with its NATO partners who continue to safely operate the same type of helicopter to establish an aeromedical capability to save the lives of their people?
Thank you, Senator Fawcett. Minister Wong.
Thank you. In relation to this issue, we will continue to take advice from Defence about the best way forward in relation to this platform, but also I would make the broader point that the government continues to keep under review the nature and breadth of the assistance to Ukraine.